I have two very giving parents. Like we grew up and like two things were normal. Giving was normal and failing was normal. I'm also very good at quitting, right? Like I'm able to accept things for what they are to the best of my ability. I don't complain about them. I just accept them.
Tobi is a global entrepreneur, a master storyteller, and the LinkedIn force behind more than 300 million impressions, helping founders build, scale, and win their freedom.
I lost $15,000. So what I realized was I'm a terrible entrepreneur. Like, imagine being so passionate about it, being like, wow, I suck at this. It started like 2017. I get laid off from a company that went bankrupt. They just ran out of money. In an instant, my income was gone. And I just thought, this can't happen. Like, I need to be in way more control of my income and my livelihood. So LinkedIn has absolutely saved me, right? And I post on LinkedIn. I'm not like a LinkedIn anything right now. And I wake up and there's like 300,000 impressions.
What?
I had like 900, 1,000 connections, something like that.
What?
I was like, no chance
What?
that worked,
You work with a lot of founders and so on.
Yeah.
What really is the problem? What's the blocker?
I mean, the first blocker is
Tobi, welcome to the pod.
thanks for having me.
You're quite an anomaly because normally I interview guests, immigrants who are in the UK, building companies in the UK.
Yes.
You're an anomaly because essentially you fall into the first bracket, but not the second bracket because you don't technically live in the UK. You're in London now, which
Yes.
thank you so much for coming in person and doing this podcast with me.
Probably.
But also I said yes to the anomaly because you are a LinkedIn legend. So I'm like, oh shit, I like somehow I need to make this work. And I'm glad. I think from the first conversation we had, I don't know. I think just the energy exchange. And you were just so giving. I don't know if you're like this with everyone. I'm just fortunate maybe. But yeah, it was just like off the back of it, the energy, the vibe, and I was like, oh shit, like from the first time. I also didn't want to ask you, but I don't know if I did. But I'm glad that we're here because I was like, okay, how can I have this in-person conversation with you and just get to know you a little bit better?
Honestly, like I have two very giving parents. Like we grew up and like two things were normal. Giving was normal and failing was normal. So
Great combination.
Great combination, right? So I think when I met you, actually before I met you, I saw like some of your content. I watched one of your podcast episodes, and you have like a really genuine smile, and like you also are building something that is impactful because immigrants actually build great companies. So I reached out to you. I was just like, hey, like I want to be friends. I don't, a podcast is just like what happens out of that,
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming. But and I think building. It's great that how social media and the virtual world has brought the entire world so much closer, and the world has just become a smaller place. But nothing beats this in-person, contact, this in-person exchange of energy. So I'm also just, it's just absolute pleasure once again to have you on the pod. So let me get right into it, Tobi. Talking about the whole immigrant journey and, walk me through your immigrant. So you live in Paris now.
Currently in
But
Paris.
you've moved around so many different countries. So walk me through that stage of your life.
Yeah, so I spent the first 8 years of my life in Nigeria. My dad worked in oil. My mom had a new business every year for as long as I can remember till this year, just always building something. And at 8, we moved to Belgium for 2 years. So we lived in Brussels. At 10, moved to Atlanta for a year. Then moved to Tennessee for a couple months. Back to Nigeria for, I think, 5 years. And then I moved to Canada by myself in 2010. And I went there for school against my will. I wanted to be a soccer player, football player in London. And my dad is like, if you find an academy in an hour, then you can go.
Oh, shit.
And I obviously did not. Like, it's such an unreasonable. And then I found out he had already paid the tuition in Canada. So he just like sold me. So moved to Canada, did a year of high school just to like integrate. Went to boarding school there, and then I went to university. But I made a deal with my dad, like, listen, if I get all A's in grade 12 in Canada, where you've banished me to, You need to let me have the choice of not going to university and going to play football in England. And I got all A's.
Oh, wow.
If I have if there's a barter, like I'm gonna make it happen, you know. So I got all A's. The next day, we fly to England, in London. I'm staying in Edgware Road with my uncle, training every day. I go try out at Chelsea, try out at West Ham, and I just
Wow.
gave it everything. And obviously I didn't make it, but I realized on the pitch one day, this one player that was in the midfield with me did not stop running for 90 minutes. And I was like, I'm not going to make it. Like, this guy is relentlessly running and I'm not. I can't keep up with this. Like, this is the standard, right? But I got into an academy. It was risky, right? No education, second tier academy. If you don't make it, one injury, the whole thing's up in flames. So I decided to go to university. So I went back to Canada, played for my university, got into entrepreneurship because I realized that, back then, 2011, football salaries in Canada and the US were $40K a year. And then I looked at entrepreneurs doing millions. I was like, I'm going to go play another game, And so I quit football professionally 2011, 2012. And then I went straight into business, selling Yeezys, selling shoes, couches, phones, hoverboards, clothing. Like, if I found it, I was selling it, So that was basically how I got into entrepreneurship.
Before we dive a little bit deeper on that, that person you saw running 90 minutes on the field, and that's the time you felt, okay, I'm not going to make it. This is not for me. I'm going to call it quits.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting because it's very difficult for us to also realize our strengths, but also our limitations. And, how do you come to that conclusion at that time, something that you really wanted to move to a different country, England, you want to play, for one of the big football clubs. And then in that moment, you're accepting that limitation of yours. Because, I don't know, in my opinion, especially in the whole, in this day and age, social media, and, you're competing with the whole world. And, it's your ego also somehow comes in the way. And, social media feeds a lot of bullshit to you as well.
Yes.
So it's like, how do you come to that conclusion and you say, okay, no, this is not for me, and I'm not going to be that guy? Because social media also feeds you this, where no, you can do everything and you should be, so.
I think I'm delusional, right? Like I've been delusional from when I was a kid. I believe all things that I put my head to, I can figure out, right? Or at least the fundamentals. But I'm also very good at quitting, right? Like I'm able to accept things for what they are, to the best of my ability. I don't complain about them. I just accept them, right? So I have accepted that I have, for example, flat feet. So I can't run as fast as Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Even if I train 3 lifetimes, it's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So you also have to, I remember his face. I remember when it happened on the pitch where I went, I'm not going to make it, right? This is this guy. And it happened again the year I quit. This guy's named Joey Kewen. Joey, if you ever see this, right? But I played with him in university. He was the best football player that I've ever played with in my entire life. And he did not make it as a soccer player, right? And I remember thinking, listen, if Joey cannot make it, I don't have a chance. And you sometimes just have to go, I don't have a chance. And you want to play games where you have a chance, right? And I have a chance in entrepreneurship to do the things I want, retire my parents, have no boss, sleep till 1, these goals that I had. And you just have to accept it. And then you just transfer your delusion to a new place. So I was delusional as a soccer player until I wasn't. I was delusional, as an employee when I worked at Shopify until I wasn't, right? And now I'm just, a new level of delusional. I was delusional enough to think I could get into football, right?
Yeah.
So you just keep the same level of delusion and find what game do I play and you accept things as they are.
You know, this is literally the first time I hear that there's actually a strategy behind delusionality.
Yeah.
I love that. You know, so it's not about not being delusional. Let's be a realist. And okay, there's confinement, and this is what I can and cannot do. Being delusional is important, because that would have been my second question.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you answered that, because being delusional is important. But okay, channeling your delusionality strategically into places where you know your probability of success is that much higher.
I love math.
Yeah.
What is the math on me applying my delusion here?
Yeah.
And, you know, is it possible? Like right now, I'm not going to become the best agent in the world, right? Even though I want to work in football, it's not going to happen, right? So I'm delusional enough to think I'm going to get into sports 100%. But where am I going to apply that delusion? I'm going to apply it over here. Like I literally will leverage what I've done with storytelling on a platform nobody's thinking about. And I will use it to get into where, like, I was delusional enough to think it, and it happened. It
I
took
love that.
a long time to happen. But the cool thing about being delusional is it removes time barriers. So for me, when I applied to Shopify, I applied to Shopify 7 times in 3 years. Every year I go, I apply, you get to the final stage, they're like, not good enough. Change something, go back, apply. The last time, they literally were like, why are you here? And she asked me, like, if we don't let you in this time, what are you going to do? I was like, what kind of question is that? It's like, I'll see you in 6 months.
What?
We just do it again until you let me in, you know? And so I think part of those are like good philosophies that I picked up, fortunately young, you know, parents, mentors. I had one mentor that used to say, like, if you showed up at your own house that you paid for, that, you know, you own the title to, and you couldn't get in, you know, you lost the key, right? Like, how long would you try to get in for? You just, until you're in the house, like, it's
Until you're in the house.
right?
Yeah.
So when I attack something that I know is mine, I attack it like that, right? It's like, I'll just be here until.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Does your you know, your upbringing, your movement, different places, different countries play any part in this delusionality?
Yeah. Like there's no current Tobi without like the fact that I went to 11 schools, oldest sibling.
11 schools.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
2 different, you know, 2 parents that were, you know, my mom till today, I'll go to her house. I'm like, Mom, what's that machine? She's like, oh, I bought a t-shirt printing machine. I'm going to start a t-shirt business. This was 2 months ago.
What?
She's just like nonstop. It has been this way my entire life. She looks at something and goes, I can probably figure that out. And there's just no doubt that she can't, you know? And so I think that has just played a big role in how I dream and how I execute and, you know, what I do. And I don't think I am an entrepreneur without it. I definitely have some sort of ADHD. I don't even need to go get tested for it. You know, I obsess over things and I figure them out, and I only need to figure out the fundamentals, you know, and I've just figured out, like, okay, I was like 9 years old or 10 years old in Atlanta selling cheesecakes door to door to raise money for like school. Like, I've been this way for a long time, right? So now it's, how do I get the most out of how I'm built, right?
Talk me through Spotify. So you wanted to get into Spotify because that's where people sell, you know, different places, and that
Shopify.
sorry.
Yes.
Shopify.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Shopify. But you also like music, I'm
Yeah.
guessing. So it's not Spotify. But because you were always constantly, you're a sales guy. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, you're trying to sell different things, and Shopify is the place where people, you know, e-com and people
Yeah.
selling. So maybe that was the reason you wanted to get into the space, because that is the huge brand name, or?
So I think it started like 2017. I get laid off from a company that went bankrupt, right? Like, you know, they just ran out of money. And, you know, in an instant, my income was gone. And I just thought, I still remember the day I went, oh my God, this can't happen. Like, I need to be in way more control of my income and my livelihood. Like, what if I had a house? What if I had kids, you know? And so I went, I'm going to give everything into becoming like an entrepreneur, and not just like a side hustler, but like figure it out. And I gave it, genuinely, I'd be up till 2 a.m. I gave it everything I had with my clothing line. I lost $15,000. So
Wow.
what I realized was I'm a terrible entrepreneur. Like, imagine being so passionate about it, being like, wow, I suck at this. So I had two options, MBA or Shopify, right? The place where they build business or the place where they teach business.
Yeah.
So with them, we go back to my upbringing and how I was raised. I learn by doing. I don't know what I graduated with in my GPA, right? Like, I don't learn that way. I learn this way. So we have to apply to Shopify. Every 6 months until they let us in, we are going to apply to Shopify. I would go to lunches with my friends at Shopify every 2 months. I literally got used to being an employee there. I knew the menu
Wow.
2 years before I worked there.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, so this is where we're going to end up. Let's get used to it. I go for lunch. And at some point, I literally had people like, oh, are you here now? I'm like, no. Probably a couple more months. And so I got into Shopify because I'm a terrible entrepreneur. Again, I just accepted that I'm giving this my absolute best and it is not working. So in Shopify, and I kid you not, I'm grateful till today that I got into Shopify because that was my MBA. 3 years, almost to the day, I learned how to build businesses from scratch, how to build businesses, marketing, branding, delivery, fulfillment, how to build teams, sales teams, how to scale fast. It was like step by step, how do you do all of these things? And then I bought a house and quit.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So now all the success, which allows you to buy a house, but then you quit. And
Yeah.
again, you're obviously now we're going to speak about the LinkedIn journey. If you're so successful, and if I'm guessing that success would not have hit a ceiling at that stage. I'm thinking out loud with you. And if you have the opportunity to keep growing in such a big brand name, why quit?
So again, all came down to like, what was the end goal? The end goal was not Shopify. I was 23 or so. Probably 23. I wrote my own eulogy. I think I told you this. Maybe I didn't.
No.
But I wrote my own eulogy when I was 20, like a long time ago.
Wow.
Right? And I went, at the end of my life, this is what I want to be said about me.
Oh.
And, from the perspective of my wife, my kids, if I want to have them, my community, my friends, and my coworkers. Okay. And it was 3 pages long, very clear what was going to happen. I was going to always be present, which means if I want to do something like this, I'm going to do it. I don't need to ask permission, right? I was very generous. So which means I need a lot of money and I need a lot of time. According to the math, if I was going to have a lot of money and a lot of time, I had to be an entrepreneur. So if I wanted to become an entrepreneur, I had to go to an MBA or go to a company like Shopify. And when I got into Shopify, I told my boss, this is my last job. Because I knew why I was there. I was there to quit. But then to quit so I could take care of myself and travel and whatever else. Like, they don't know this. I bought a house on June 5th and June 6th was my last day. Like,
No way.
it was complete.
Oh, wow.
Because, I can't buy a house as an entrepreneur in Canada without the bank screwing me. So I got to buy it as an employee.
Correct.
So I bought the house as an employee and then I quit. All right. So but the eulogy gave me, it's like going in a car. You don't just start driving, you put in the GPS. Okay, here's where we're going. Now, what happens if this road is closed? You don't go home. You just, find another way.
Yeah.
Right? So that eulogy has been my compass. And when I quit, I wrote a new one because I was at a new place where I had time and money, which was the goal of the first eulogy. So I kind of got there early. And so I wrote a new one, 16 pages long.
Really?
Yeah. Like, here's all the things that are going to happen now that I have all the time to give to my own stuff. And in there was football and companies and all this stuff.
We didn't actually speak about you writing a eulogy, but this is very interesting because, a lot of people, when they have like near-death experiences, when they come out of it, they have different, for the most part, they have different perspective to life.
Yes.
So it's interesting. Did you also have a shift in perspective because you wrote your eulogy and perhaps might sound a little bit morbid, but you also maybe accepted death?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was exactly it. Like, I think a lot of people fear death because it's, obviously it's the end, feels like the end. And so they never like confront it, right? But what I saw was a lot of people that got to the end and then realized too late that they could have done something earlier. And to me, like, it was, you know, I feel like I've lived past lives and I'm like an old soul in that sense. Like, something in me was like, if you figure out what you want to be in now, you have all this time to reverse engineer it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my current life, if you ask like me 21 years ago, or not 21, that'd be too young, but back in when I was 21, I'm telling you, this was like designed. Like, where I currently am was designed. Now, what materials do we use? Was it going to be LinkedIn? Like, not designed, but how present am I? How generous am I? How much time do I spend with my wife, right? Like, birthdays, all that was designed. And I think more people should design it, because it's, you're either in someone's design or in your design, right? Like, government, society, corporate, very well designed, right? Or you design your own thing. So I knew I wasn't going to, I got out of corporate at 28 with a property. The property was there because I also have accepted that entrepreneurship can go belly up. So said to my wife, listen, we quit, because she worked at Shopify with me,
Oh, wow.
which, was part of our plan. She studied nursing. And I was like, listen, we can't travel the world if you're a nurse. You got to get into tech. So, made that part of the plan. So I said, if we mess up and it goes belly up for some reason, we just come back home, either sell the house or we move in, right? Those were all designed, right? And I think if you do it that way, nothing feels insanely risky. That's the first thing. The second of all, like, you just sleep well at night. Like, when we have bad months, or when we've had bad months, just go to bed. Like, the worst case scenario is I go back home with the woman that loves me. She rubs my head. I have a Snickers bar, and we start again, because I'm relentless. So you just accept all these things, and then you're able to really build. The biggest point of failure for entrepreneurs, people generally, is expectation, reality, and that gap. So it's, how do you manage the expectations of dreaming and executing? There's this massive gap, right? But if you learn to accept that these will always be my dreams, and there will always be a gap, and then your job is just to slowly close that till the day you pass, and to accept that you have never had your best idea yet. Till the day you pass, there will never be a point where, like, yesterday was my best idea. No, like, tomorrow you're going to have a better idea. So you accept all these things, you just have this incredible life, right? And then if you design it, now you get somewhere, you're like, I always wanted to live in Paris. I always wanted to work in the afternoons when I'm really productive. I wanted to sleep until 1 p.m. And all of these things, if you ask my friends 3 years ago, they will tell you, Tobi told us.
Wow.
And I think you can do that over a long enough period. You play long-term games with long-term people, like Flaw says. So if I like someone, I don't need to know whether this is a business transaction. I just like them. Whatever comes out of it is
Bonus.
a bonus,
Yeah.
right? And I think it was part of my design, though. Why do I have to have a transaction if I just like the person? The transaction coming is just a bonus. And so now you really enjoy every part of life, and you're not living in the gap of, like, what could have been and what should be, and where I should be, or where I was because I was successful, or you live in right now, this is what's happening, and I'm having a great time.
It's nice how you've kind of tied in everything together. Started with the eulogy, which allows you to remind yourself that you've got a limited time. Within that limited time, what do you want to accomplish or achieve? And then you're working backwards.
Yes.
And you're working backwards, meaning that you're also more present
Yes.
every single time with your wife or your business partners or whatever that may be, but in life in general. Two things off the back of this. One is, do you believe in law of attraction? I know we're going a slightly different tangent. This is maybe supposed to be a little bit, entrepreneurship, whatever, but law of attraction. And I'll also tell you the reason why I ask you this. And second, also control. So law of attraction, because you're talking about strategy and how strategically you map everything out where you're going to be today. If I spoke to your friends 3 years ago, okay, small nuances if it's LinkedIn or this or that, but I mean, for the most part, you knew where you strategically planned your
We know
life.
the destination.
Correct, exactly.
Yes.
But then, input equals output. I don't know if I'm saying this,
Yeah.
the right thing, but you're giving more energy to that space or place that you want to be in, and then you're also somehow attracting that back. I mean, I'm just thinking, wow, this is like law of attraction in the making.
It's law of attraction for sure.
Yeah, and secondly, also perspective. You spoke about government or you spoke about corporates or whatever. I think fundamentally, all of us are trying to control a lot of things that are actually beyond your control. I believe the only thing that you can control is the you.
Yeah.
Just that's it.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe both of these things you have kind of married into your eulogy, and hence why you're also operating from a place where, I mean, of course, we all have our stresses and anxiety, but not the constant pressure of trying to achieve something and you're, going in a place without a compass.
Yeah. Listen, you control what you can control, right? And when you, like, I say to I have a couple like phrases that I use to identify myself, right? Because identity is very important when you are trying to build anything significant, right? So for me, I identify as a seed sower. Like, I go into spaces and I am generous with my time, my energy, my words. I'm generous with my connections, my contacts, my money. I'm generous as a core identity. If I see someone and I like their hair and that's the only seed I get to sow today, that's what I'm going to sow. Now, what's really cool about being a seed sower is you don't control the size of the harvest. You just walk into it. So many things that I'm now enjoying, I can see the seeds that were sown a long time ago. I didn't know they were going to be at this level. I didn't have a revenue goal. I didn't have a follower goal. I didn't have any of those goals. All I knew was I was going to be free. I was going to use my words to do it. And I was going to then, I basically have a goal to accumulate as much money as I can to give it all away so that I achieve the fullness of my identity, which is I am extremely generous. So how that happens is like it's not my concern. What is true is I've picked the destination. I have accepted what I've been given. I'm very disorganized. I suck with projects. I can't keep a timeline to save my life, but I can inspire people with my words. I'm very good at working through people. I'm a visionary. I know how to bring the best out of people. I've accepted this. I've accepted this. I've accepted the destination. So now all we do is we sow the seed of meeting people, lunch, doing whatever that looks like. And then, which is really important for all my generous people that are people pleasers, at harvest time, we harvest without complaint and we harvest without apologizing. I am successful because I sowed seeds and I accept that, right? And it's very calming to live like that, because if you apologize, now you look insecure. I'm successful, but I don't want anyone to know. And if you complained, then you just didn't sow enough seed.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not successful because X, Y, and Z happened. No, we reap. And I'm like in collection mode right now.
Now I can tell why you're so successful on LinkedIn. You are a very good storyteller. I mean, the way you're articulating everything is just so beautiful, and it's also so wise. So, I mean, I'm enjoying this conversation. So, talking about storytelling.
Yeah.
So, how LinkedIn? Why LinkedIn? Where did it all start?
Big mistake. It was so funny. Like, again, I joined Shopify. First week, I go into my onboarding call. I'm a customer success manager. And they go, okay, we need to teach all of you how to tell good stories to your customers, because Shopify is basically a bunch of normal people running big businesses, right? So they're not corporate, right? You need to like connect with a single mom who's doing $2.5 million selling breast milk in a bracelet.
Wow.
That's a real story.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
She's doing a lot of money, right? And so you have to learn how to tell the story. So we're going to teach you a framework called Freytag's pyramid, Freytag. So you have the introduction, right? You have the rising action, which is the context. You have the climax, which is, the big thing that happens. You have the falling action, which is where everyone starts going, okay, everything's fine. And then you have the takeaway or the lesson. And I went, that sounds like a bunch of nonsense, like you just, but I love frameworks because they kind of give me an easy thing to follow. So I literally go on LinkedIn and I go, okay, let's tell a story about my name. My full name is Tobi, but I only go by Tobi because that's my nickname. I've always gone by Tobi, but my full name is that. When I put my full name on my resume, I got no callbacks. When I put Tobi, I was hired within 2 months. Legit story, right? So instead of just going like, oh, I'm so angry, this is what happened, I went, let's use Freytag's pyramid. What's the introduction? My full name is this. Everyone calls me Tobi. When I started looking for jobs, and I literally follow the framework, right? And I post on LinkedIn. I'm not like a LinkedIn anything right now. And I wake up and there's like 300,000 impressions.
What?
I had like 900, 1,000 connections, something like that.
What?
I was like, no chance that worked, So I was like, okay, I'm going to do another post. I do a second post. It gets 29 likes. I was like, I knew it. But I was like, I could be wrong. Like, let's do more. So I did probably 2-3 more posts. And the third one I did about my sister, right? She's self-taught in Korean. And I basically went, my sister taught herself Korean in 6 months. And I went through the framework and I had a takeaway. And I woke up, it had like 288,000 impressions, some ridiculous numbers, like hundreds of thousands. But then this time I had like plugged my company. And so we were just getting leads, like just people going, I love that story. What does he do? I'm going to apply. And I just got it. Immediately that happened, that post, I was like, I know what to do. Every day at 10 a.m., I'm going to do a story indefinitely. And I'm going to post. I'm on day 1,578. And I just like, this is my input. This is my seed sowing. I'm going to tell these stories and I'm going to have business outcomes because of those stories. And that's exactly what I've done, right? It's like, I've literally taken the same framework from 2020. I teach it in all of my programs. I teach it to all of my founders. I use that framework. I tell stories and those stories sell because I also don't like selling. I don't categorize myself as a salesperson. I categorize myself as a storyteller. But think about the best stories. They always inspire action in you. You hear a good story, you want to do something.
Absolutely.
And so I learned that if I don't want to be cold calling, cold email, whatever, I can drive all the traffic to me with a good story. So right now, like my team knows this. I have 7,200 inbound connection requests that I can't accept because I've hit the limit.
Yeah.
But at any point in time, if I went, let's really scale, right? Like I could message everyone that's come to me and I would feed my businesses for however long. So it has worked. And now the stories I'm realizing, like if you can tell good stories, that's great. If you can tell good stories to a lot of people, now you can do some real damage, right? And that's this next phase that I'm kind of going into is I've gone 320 million impressions on LinkedIn. I post once a day. I schedule out my content sometimes 30 days out.
Wow.
And so I'm just like waking up and like, oh, I had this many people message me, right? And what's really cool about stories is they get into doors you don't know exist. So I've walked into a Walmart and someone's come and told me my story. I went to Barbados with my family. The guy came to deliver our car rental and he's like, you're Tobi. He's like, you went to Shopify, you built your business. He gives me his card. He's like, I started my cheesecake business because I saw your story online. I swear
amazing.
that happened.
Tobi, thank you so much for sharing that because, I mean, you could have the best product or the best service under the sun, but if you don't have attention, it doesn't really matter. You could perhaps get away with a mediocre, okay-ish product or service if you have all the attention, right?
Yes.
And as a founder, we all know that. Everything that you're saying now is very inspirational. And I'm also thinking, it's giving me a little bit of anxiety as well. I'm like, shit, like I want to achieve this. But why is it that majority of us are failing to do so? Like, I mean, why is it so difficult? Because you work with a lot of founders and so on.
Yeah.
What really is the problem? What's the blocker?
I mean, the first blocker is the fear of judgment. What is, what are my colleagues going to think? What is my boss going to think? What is, what are my friends going to think about me if I start doing this? If I start telling this story, it's either they're going to think I'm a loser, right? Because I'm now cringe and, and I always say to my founders, cringe is in, right?
I like
Cringe is
that.
in right now. And then the other one is I don't want to brag, right? I don't want to, tell people how much I've made and how I've done this, and I don't want people, looking at me. I don't want to chase what I want because I don't want them to look at me. And I think it's just backwards, because you're essentially I'm going to prioritize what they want over what I want. But also you're saying something that is completely untrue, which is they're thinking about you.
Yeah.
People just think about themselves.
Yeah.
Things happen in the media, we talk about it, and then we move on.
Correct.
Right? So once I accepted like, okay, nobody's thinking about me. Nobody wakes up like, wonder what Tobi's up to today. Like, it's not happening. And then secondly, I understood that I will have a net positive reaction and a net positive impact by telling the story. I had a really great mentor. He said, there's only 6 or 7 really miserable people in the world. The problem is they move around a lot. And so I'm going to have more people that I inspire than that hate me.
Yeah.
I found all 7 of my haters, right? They're all blocked, right? So it has set me free to be like, listen, when I started, my sister would come to my house and read my LinkedIn posts out loud to me. Like, that's how cringe, like I had to like deal with that.
Oh God.
And then like years later, right? And my friends too, like, they'd come, you know how, friends are. It's like, oh, today I posted, and they would like really, really give it to me. And then later on, it's like, wow, Tobi, like, yeah. I mean, how do I get on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
And so all you have to do is push past the initial embarrassment barrier. Then you have to push past the judgment barrier. And then you have to push past the execution barrier, which is, are you actually going to go all the way? If you push past those 3, on the other side of it is praise and inspiration and impact and everything else, right? So that's genuinely, those are the 3 things that it's like some people, they start and they push past that initial, embarrassment, and then they get stuck at judgment, or they push past the judgment and they realize how hard it is to be delusional and make money from thin air. And they go back, right? And now they always join one of the previous groups, is what I find. Right? So now they become like, oh, I tried that, don't do it.
Yeah.
Or they become like, who do you think you are? But everyone that makes it past the execution barrier, they never make it back. They are the ones that go, you should go for it. Because they know it's worth it. Right? So now I'm just on the other side going, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
You tell stories to enough people, you will generate revenue without trying.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much my entire thesis.
Yeah. It's also very interesting. I mean, I can relate to all those fronts because I've been,
Of course.
I've gone through this whole phase of, I know it's important, but then somehow, what are people going to think? It's cringe, and it's like, why should I talk about myself? And also, who am I to talk about myself? Like, I'm not Elon Musk or whatever.
Yeah.
And then also priorities. Somehow you give yourself excuses. Oh no, but I'm building a product. Oh no, I've got this priority. I'm running a company. I need to raise money. I need to, so always somehow it was, in hindsight, I wish I started working on my personal brand, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But I think maybe we can all, have that realization. But today I'm also in a place where, like you rightly said, I actually don't give a shit. Like I think it's also because you're building your personal brand, the word personal makes it a big problem.
Yes.
I never had the problem building a company.
A company, yeah.
Because it was a company.
Well, it's a little vulnerable, right?
Exactly, because it's like, so I think I've also come to a place where when I look at my personal brand, I'm just looking at as a brand.
Yes.
I just remove the word personal from the brand.
Yeah.
Because now this brand has to feed my other brands.
Yes.
Like and then it's like a flywheel of that.
Exactly.
Talking about, everything that you're building on LinkedIn and LinkedIn, the power of LinkedIn, I think, and like you rightly touched on it's still, I feel it's a very underestimated platform compared to Insta, TikTok, and YouTube. But do you have, plans to expand into different social media platforms or?
Yeah, I mean, I will if I have to.
Okay.
Right. So here's the thing that I've learned. One is I actually don't like social media. Just like I don't really want people knowing that much about me. Like to the best of my ability, I would disappear if I could. But I
It's very
think,
contradictory to your social presence.
but this is why it's so great. LinkedIn is incredible for people who are business owners first, core identity. Instagram, TikTok are great for people who are creators first.
That's a good point, actually.
And then want to build a business off that. Like I'm a creative, I want to make money.
That's a good
Great way to get in. Now, I'm a business owner. I hate social media. It's a necessary evil. LinkedIn is incredible because in 15 minutes a day, I create content that can drive 100,000 impressions to my businesses. So
good point.
I don't need to make a single video. I do one photo shoot per year and I'm good to go. I use those photos all year because I'm not a social media creator. I'm not a creator. I will not be put in the bucket. I look at all of my businesses on a HubSpot dashboard. I'm a business owner. I've always been a business owner. I've always been an entrepreneur, right? Now, I am creative. I'm creative in how I build my businesses and all this other stuff. But I think that distinction is what has made this such a great tool for me, because the personal brand I've put out is just what I want people to know about me. There's personal content and then there's private content. And nobody knows what's happening in my private life. When you go on socials the other way, a lot of times you gotta
invite people into your real.
Why are you watching me eat?
Yeah.
Why are you watching me wake up? Like what are you doing here? So that's why even with my content, I've tried, by the way, like, so I also am okay to try and to be wrong. I've tried, right? Set the camera up, script. I've actually had this, young team that used to come to my house, right? And the second time they came on a Saturday, I was like, get out.
No way.
I was like, I'm not in the mood.
Yeah.
And now I have to put on this face. And, I was just like, this isn't for me, right? So LinkedIn has absolutely saved me because I was scared that I was either going to have to become a creator on Instagram, social video to have my dream life, or sacrifice my dream life because I'm not going to be a creator. And LinkedIn went, you can write content and immediately drive business. Skip the, the dancing, right? And that's why it's been really powerful. So the people that I'm really enjoying working with right now are entrepreneurs who need to drive revenue for as free as possible. And we do it through text on LinkedIn. They don't want to show videos, right? And that's why video on LinkedIn tanked.
Yeah.
Because they were like, we don't come here for that.
Yeah.
We're not here to be entertained. LinkedIn has higher intention when someone logs in. They have higher intention than when they're on YouTube. Like, when do you go on LinkedIn? You're looking for a contact,
Correct.
a job,
Yeah.
an employee. You're looking for something.
Something. Yeah.
You're not going to hang out there.
Yeah.
And so, because the intent is so high, one LinkedIn lead is better than 20 social leads. Then the second thing is you get a social lead. It's John Jacobs, email jacobxoxo@gmail.com.
Yeah.
No clue if this is a real person, a bot, where they live.
Correct.
LinkedIn, John Jacobs.
All verified.
VP,
Yeah.
verified, lives in Oregon, been at the company for 3 years. This is his employee. This is his employee. You have 80 data points on every lead. More output for your input.
Yeah.
And that's why this has been, for the amount that we've made with the little effort that I put in, that is all accredited to the platform I chose. Because I could have actually put in more effort and made less. I could have made more. Like I had a friend, Tobi, you could make way more. I'm like, and sacrifice what? What am I supposed to sacrifice? Like my sleep or the fact that I hate doing videos? Like what am I supposed to sacrifice? Like, no, I made what I made, right? And so LinkedIn is a cheat code. Next 5-10 years, business owners, builders, they're like, I want to be taken seriously as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as an investor. I've gone into so many deals because of LinkedIn. They see my posts on LinkedIn. They assume I'm a good entrepreneur, which I am. Hey, Tobi, can you here's an advisor, equity deal, whatever it is. I'm like, this is great. You become a magnet.
Yeah.
And there's only really two ways you can do this. You either are a magnet or a movement, which means you're just sending the messages, doing the content, like going at it, or you're a magnet where all I do is I go through my inbox, no, yes, lead, no, yes, all inbound. 98% of our revenue has been inbound. I have personally gone and gotten 2 cold leads in our 5 years.
That's amazing.
So I think it's just smarter.
Yeah.
Right. It's like I'm big on content, by the way. Like when other people are doing it and they want to do it, like this is incredible. But you think about this, right? So when I do a podcast, you got an hour. That content can carry me for a whole year.
Correct.
So that's why I like doing these. They help me think through my thoughts. That's why I'm able to communicate them so well, is because I spent so much time thinking through, like, how do I get everything into a framework, right? So when I teach something, it's in threes, right? If I can't rhyme, I alliterate, right? Like if I'm going to tell a story, I use phrase tags. And I have all these kind of frameworks. Like that's why it's called building a business, because it's all these blocks, right? And so I think that if you're going to go, I want to raise money, I want to build a business, I want to write a book. I've gotten offered 2 books. Both publishers came to me going, hey, we found you on LinkedIn.
Wow.
We're going to publish. We're going to do all this stuff. And I'm the one going, I'm not in the mood to write a book. And that's the end of the story, right? Like when I'm in the mood to write a book, I'll write a book. I have an audience, so I can launch whatever I want, right? So now you're really in like free zone. Like I can pick a business and launch very, very quickly, because we've done the work of creating an audience on a platform where one post
Absolutely
gets us.
Absolutely. I mean, really, like I said earlier, you could have the, best product, best service, but if you don't have the attention, it doesn't really matter. So, I mean, once you've been able to harness that attention, and again, like delusionality, you can also channel it in any different business that you want.
Exactly.
So, I saw one of your posts recently. You gathered a lot of founders together. I think there was a event that you did
in Toronto. Yeah.
Talk me through that. Like, I mean, are you doing a lot of these events, or?
I think so. I moved to Paris to kind of like recover and to get more clarity for like this next phase. And I wanted to be alone, right? And you look at some of the great people that have come through, whether it's business or just like life leaders, they had moments that they went and they were alone. And I did that in Paris. And I came out going, I want in-person community and friendships. Like that is what I care about and what I want the most. And so I came out and I went, okay, I was like, how do we get people together? And I just said to my team, let's do a conference. And they were like, you don't just like do a conference, like you got to like, and I was like, what do you mean you don't just do a conference? You pick a venue and then you tell people.
Get people. Yeah.
It was very hard because I didn't actually anticipate how much work would go into it. But I just went like, hey, I want to get all my favorite people in a room. I want my friends to speak on stage, and I want to do it every year. And so let's do it. So we announced it in, I think, June, started, getting the tickets. We had 200 people live in Toronto on TIFF weekend, which is, Toronto International Film Festival. I thought it was 50 people in like a theater watching a movie. It's like takes over the whole city. So we were like in front of, we're like Scarlett Johansson and Tom, what's his name? Tom Hanks, and all these people are like there. And we're here running this entrepreneur conference over here. There's traffic all over. The hotels are through the roof. And 200 people still showed up from like 5 countries.
Wow.
And so that was the first one. And I just wanted people to like meet each other and connect and get to know each other, but also to do what I do best, which is inspire people with my words and challenge them to build a life that they dream about, right? Like it's hard, yes, it's worth it, you know? And so we did that. And then we booked for next year, October, I think 2nd and 3rd. And people bought tickets, you know, so we're gonna do
Amazing.
it next year. We don't have a venue yet, but we will. So yeah.
I mean, talk about the power of attraction. You know, I mean,
Exactly.
that's, I mean, and that is again attraction inbound versus going outbound and so on. I think I'd be doing this theme a disservice if I didn't ask you this one question about the whole, you know, I mean, essentially now you're living in Paris, you're also an immigrant in Paris, and
Yeah,
you've been an immigrant in so many different countries. What is your take on the whole conversation around immigration these days in the news and media and everything?
Yeah, I mean, listen, everything goes up and then everything goes down, right? Like sun goes up, sun comes down, right? And I think what happened in the last 5-10 years has happened before. In history, people have immigrated in volume. People who were there have gotten annoyed. Then they've calmed down, and then less people have immigrated, and then things have gotten well, and then they need more people, and then more people immigrated, and then people got annoyed. It's just, we're just in a cycle, you know? So I think one, how the borders opened up after COVID, and it was because they didn't, you know, a lot of the people that were staying in countries didn't want to be, like in Canada, they didn't want to be delivering food in negative 40 degrees. So the businesses went to the government and went, hey, we're not going to pay as much in tax
Yeah.
if we don't, you know, we don't do well. And so they brought people in to do
help.
the things that people didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And then they didn't stop it, right? And they didn't control it. And then people got annoyed, which makes sense. Like if you have a house party and you invite 10 people and 100 people show up, like you would be annoyed. The 100 people are not bad people.
Yeah.
They heard about a good
Yeah,
party,
yeah.
right? And that's, I think, what happened. Like I am an immigrant and I go to Toronto and I see more homelessness than I have ever seen. I see people having five people in one apartment because the housing is so expensive. I see the impact of unplanned, hey, everyone come. But I'm also living proof that immigration saved my life. Like I was able to move to Canada and have an opportunity. But if I moved to Canada now and I couldn't find a job, this is double jeopardy now. I moved, left my family thousands of miles away, and I can't find a job. So I'm depressed here, no support system. Like everyone's unhappy, right? So it's like we're in the middle of the cycle. I think there's also people that are doing a terrible job, won't mention their names, in the States, making it an anger issue
Yeah.
versus what do we do?
Yeah.
Right? Like we need to build more homes, we need to create more jobs, we need more entrepreneurship will solve this problem. Create more jobs,
Absolutely.
more people that can fend for themselves. That's why I love like TikTok Shop and, you know, everything that's happening. Stan, people that are allowing people to create and not need a job, right? That's the solution. What are we going to do about it? And if we all band together and go, now that we're here, it's also the thing I was saying, like we have to accept that this is what's happening right now. You can't be mad. They should go. You can't out of this. Like this is, what are we doing? And I think that's why I'm also passionate. 80% of my customers are immigrants. 80% of the founders I work with, right? They're going, I need to send money back home to my mom. And I had one girl, she's like, I haven't seen my parents in 4 years.
Wow.
Because I don't have the money, because my job isn't paying enough. You can't undo 4 years, right? Like I personally missed, I think 20 birthdays from my family because I was in Canada and we didn't have enough money to go back and forth. it sucked. I got my Canadian passport. I went straight to therapy next day and I just cried. And I was like, this costs too much. It was too expensive. And she's like, how much did you pay for it? I'm like, no. Like, over the last 12 years to get this, it cost this many birthdays, this relationship with my siblings. I had to rebuild with my siblings. My siblings were strangers by the time we reconnected. I missed all my parents' birthdays till 60, almost. Right? Like, it's expensive. Now, to have made that sacrifice and to lose is even worse. What was it for? I should have just stayed home. And I think that's where, like, I'm going to get into real estate. I'm going to get into, like, I'm always in building business, right? I'm going to get into the things that are going to fix this. It's like, no, let's build, this much affordable housing. Give everyone a chance to get on the ladder. Okay, let's build this many businesses. We're starting to buy up businesses in Canada. All these traditional businesses that the owners are 70, 80 retiring, we're starting to buy all of those up, right? And part of the reason why is because those are all jobs. We can't shut it down.
Correct.
This is the solution.
Right.
So we're buying up car washes, renovations companies, all this stuff. Then we're building businesses online. We're going to get some freedom. Not everyone can do this. Some people were born to be employees. So we don't need to push everyone towards entrepreneurship. We just keep some businesses, hire some people, right? And then you have to live somewhere. So we need to do real estate. 3 big pillars where if I impact 1,000 lives in the next, however long, I played my little part. So now we just need like 1 million of me, right?
Correct.
and we can really solve the problem, and everyone's going to be everyone calm down, right? The answer is in the mirror.
Yeah.
Are you going to go buy one of these traditional businesses where a bank is going to give you a loan just because they exist? Are you going to be an entrepreneur, or are you going to figure out how to be a realtor and get into real estate or buy real estate and rent it out? What are you going to do to help solve this? End of story. To me.
Yeah.
And I might be wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, love that perspective. Also, I mean, being a part of the solution, not the problem. I think that's really important. I think it's very easy to point fingers and to see what is wrong and get carried away with the media, news, press, whoever. But yeah, I mean, what are you going to do to solve
What
the
are we
problem?
going to do?
And really, I think accountability. I think we also lack a lot of accountability. Like, take accountability. Like, really, but just really boils down to that also.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like, it's always easier.
Yeah.
It's always easier to,
Yeah.
it's someone else's fault.
Correct.
I didn't do anything.
Just the immigrant entrepreneurs, because you just said that a majority of your founders are immigrants. You think there's without both of us being biased, considering we also fall in that bracket, you think there's the probability of success, or maybe the question I'm trying to ask is there a slight differentiator you feel when it comes to an immigrant founder versus a non-immigrant founder?
I mean, the answer, just like the stats, are yes, right? And part of the reason is you have really good, big reasons to do well when you're an immigrant. I needed and I wanted to help retire my parents. I wanted to help put my brother through school. I got into entrepreneurship because it was the solution to my brother not coming to school in Canada and staying in Nigeria, because it was what would help my mom. It was what I didn't wake up and go like, what's the hardest way I can think of to make money right now? No, it was, I remember the call, my dad going, I don't think we can send your brother, it's too expensive. Do you want to ruin our family? And at 22 or 23, my first job, I'm making 50, 60K. I'm paying 10 grand in tuition. So I didn't save for like 3-4 years. So we have really, really deep reasons to do well. So for us, we teach this in our community, which is content is the tool, money is the means, freedom is the goal. And you want to make sure that you don't make content the goal and money the goal. And, that's where it all goes wrong, right? Like, I became an entrepreneur for that reason, and many immigrants become entrepreneurs for that reason. Now, what do we know about pressure? If you are under a ton of pressure, I mean, that's what they teach us, right? The diamonds start to form, right?
Yeah.
So when you come from a place where like you're very comfortable, and there's no reason for you to do well, you just can because you have funding or whatever else, you can still do well. It will still work because the odds are kind of in your favor, right? But at the end of the day, you won't have as much to disperse. A lot of immigrant founders, what do we do? You know what I do with a ton of my money? Like when I started, or what I used to do, I'd send it home.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like I wasn't just like, oh, let me buy a Jaguar
Yeah, no.
F-Pace, like.
No.
So what happens is, if you're not an immigrant and you get into business, you get to the reward faster.
Correct.
You get to enjoy, like now I'm enjoying it, right? But it took years of, okay, I'm sending you. So I think it's just two different experiences to entrepreneurship. In Shopify, we used to say we have Want-trepreneurs and Need-trepreneurs. Like some people wake up like, I'm really creative. I have access to things. I'm going to solve problems through entrepreneurship. And some people wake up and go, my mom's going to die if I don't figure this out. And it's entrepreneurship, both of them, two different experiences.
Yeah. Tobi, I mean, your storytelling, I'm just really mesmerized in the way you're articulating, and I mentioned this earlier on as well. You've obviously come a long way, achieved a lot of things, and this is obviously just the start of your journey as well. There's just so much aspiration you had, and I can't wait to have this conversation a year from now, 2 years from now. But what would you tell the Tobi, your younger self, if you had to backtrack now, the Tobi who was at that stage where you still not moved to Canada and you're in that space where your dad's like, okay, this is what we're going to do, and you're going to move. What would you tell that confused Tobi today?
I mean, I think if I sit on it too long, I'll probably just like get emotional about it. I think I would just tell him like, everything you count as a weakness will be a strength for you. Because the hard part, I got asked once on the podcast, like, what are you the most proud of? You've done this with your mom and your dad and your siblings, and I just said, like, honestly, I'm the most proud of myself. I think it was very hard to like see people zoom by you, see things fall apart, to think like, oh my God, I'm so distracted, I'm never gonna make it, can't play football, can't do this, right? Like I was stuck there for a long time of like, man, I want to make it, but I might not make it, and to get to a point where I am now, where with confidence I can say it was worth it. And I also give off the air of someone that's very grounded. But part of the reason why I'm so grounded now is because I have now realized that everything that I went through, that I pushed through, if you do it and you actually make it out, you can never come out with an ego. You're going to come out going, I could have like just gotten hit on a bike and like this could have gone in flames. Like you come out grounded. You come out going, I'm so fortunate to be here. I'm so fortunate to be an entrepreneur. I'm so fortunate to be a visionary. I'm so fortunate that this is the gift I was given. And because I appreciate this gift and I don't take it for granted, I'm going to steward it to the best of my ability. I'm going to inspire as many people as I can. I'm going to give it my all. And I'm going to start early so that, I've said this before, like if, God forbid anything happened to me today, I'd be smiling. I'd be like, wow, what a run. So now to imagine that I have 70 more years is just like so exciting to me. So I'm already grateful. Like this is beyond what I thought, 14-year-old Tobi could do.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm excited to see what like 9-year-old Tobi will do.
I love that. Makes me feel more grounded and more grateful. Thank you so much, Tobi, for coming on this pod. Like, I mean, perhaps one of the best conversations I've had, like, really. So, I mean, this exchange of energy has just made it even way better than the first call that we had. And I really look for, I'm super excited for you and really
Thank you.
look forward to hopefully having you in the near future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.